If you're a small business owner who hates doing their books, and let's be real, that's going to be pretty much all of us, this video is for you. I'm going to break down the 5 best ways I've found to automate your bookkeeping with AI, from the most technical all the way down to the most hands-off, least technical, most automated options. And one of these is a tool I think solves basically all of the problems that the other ones have, and that's number 5. But watch all the way through because you'll be able to see which tool is best for you. The 5th one may not be for you depending on what you're looking for. So the first option here starting off is AI coding agents. So you may have heard of things like Claude Code, Antigravity, and similar tools. It's basically a software developer inside of your computer, right? So that's one of the things that you can do. The idea is pretty compelling. You describe exactly what you want and the AI builds it for you. It sounds good on the outside. You have custom categories, reports, you can connect your bank, basically whatever you need, right? Now, some of the pros of this, right? So it's fully customizable to your exact workflow. So exactly what you're looking for, you can get with this, right? You own the tool completely, so there are no monthly fees, and you can automate pretty much anything that you can describe, right? Super simple. Well, that's actually one of the cons. We'll get into that. It's not as simple as it sounds. It sounds simple on the surface. These agents are rapidly improving. Like what used to take weeks or months a year ago takes hours or a couple of days now, right? Which is awesome. Now, the cons, that's where things start to get a little bit interesting here. So even with AI doing the heavy lifting and actually writing the code for you when you don't have to know how to code, you're still realistically looking at tens to hundreds of hours to build something that works reliably and ticks all of your boxes. So if you're not a computer person, they make this sound way less computery as it is. You still absolutely need to know how to use computers to do this stuff. So if you're not a computer person, this just flat out isn't for you. Now, it also requires ongoing maintenance when things break. Building one of these things, there are a lot of bugs throughout the process. I built a tool like this. It's taken me about 60 attempts, different tests, just to get it to work the way that I want to. And it's been quite a fair number of hours. So unless you're trying to build a software company, this isn't going to be the option for you. It's not very beginner friendly. And if you're not already very good and skilled at using AI, meaning if you haven't even been using something like ChatGPT or Google Gemini or Claude for, say 6 months, a year, 2 years, just in the chat interface way, this is going to be a lot more challenging than people let on. Because again, you're essentially building a software product on top of running your business. So if you're doing, 100,000, a million, 2 million a year, this is not worth your time, and it's just not worth your time and energy, right? So the bottom line here is this makes sense if you're technically inclined, if you enjoy building things, software is extremely interesting to you. You maybe want to build a company out of something like this. You want to create products for others or just learn how to, code and build products, great. But for the vast majority of small business owners, again, doing that 6 figures to a couple million a year, you have other things to do, and this is just going to take your time and attention and pull it into, a not so ideal direction. Now, the second option here is kind of like an automated, simpler version of this, which is ChatGPT Finance. Now, this one is genuinely impressive for a free tool. So what happens is it connects directly to your bank account via Plaid, which is like the biggest connect your bank account to software that exists today. It's the same technology major banks use, so it can pull your actual transactions, help you categorize them, generate reports, answer questions about your numbers in plain English, this kind of stuff. It's free to use, so you can use it with ChatGPT. If you want to soup it up, maybe you need the pro plan. It connects directly to your bank via Plaid. So you just connect your bank, and there you go. ChatGPT has your financial information. It can answer natural language questions about your finances. There's no learning curve if you already use ChatGPT. It's relatively simple. And it can generate custom reports on demand. So if you want to use this at tax time and kind of do a big bulk operation, it's a good way to go about it. If you want to do it on an ongoing basis throughout the year, you just have to make sure you're disciplined and actually regularly using it and so on and so forth, right? Some of the cons here, requires you to show up and do the work every month, like I said. So it's a tool versus a system that does everything for you. You do have to prompt it, understand, interpret the output, and stay consistent at using the tool and learn how to use the tool. And many business owners, they're not comfortable sharing all their financial data with OpenAI, plugging that all into ChatGPT, which is understandable. It doesn't learn how to categorize and get better at categorizing over time. So there's that side of things as well. It can, if you continually, gradually kind of do it in the chat, it can, but that's, another workaround you need to figure out. And it oftentimes forgets things. So if you come back 8 months later, it may forget about a vendor from 7 months ago, and then you have to have it do all that again. So there's that. There's no year-end report formatted for your accountant. You can have it create one of those, but then you have to design the report and tell it how to make the report and what all needs to be in there, and then double check everything and make sure it's working properly. And it's just easy to fall off the habit and kind of end up back where you started with, nothing done for your books. So the bottom line here is it's a great free option if you're comfortable with AI and you're disciplined about using it consistently. This is great if you're sub, say, 100,000 a year, maybe 150,000 a year, something like that, where you have the time to spend a few minutes a month, 20 minutes or so, however the amount of time, however much time it is. But it's not ideal if you want something that runs in the background automatically without your involvement. Now, the third option here is Wave. Wave is one of the more popular tools out there. It's free. It's been around for years. One of the ways that they make money is through getting you to process payments through Wave and do invoicing, payment processing, all of that. So for free, it covers the basics. There's some invoicing, expense tracking. You can connect your bank, basic reporting, all that stuff. It's all free. I use it for a period in my own business. So some of the pros, again, it's completely free for the core stuff. Invoicing is included. It's been around long enough to be reliable, well documented. A lot of people talk about it. And it's decent for someone who wants traditional accounting software without paying QuickBooks prices, right? So that's kind of their position in the marketplace, if you will. QuickBooks has a bunch of highly intensive tools and software and features and products, but they come at a price. So Wave is offering kind of a more simplified version of that for free, so that ideally you end up processing payments with them and so on and so forth. And good customer support considering it's free as well. Now, some of the cons, it does require constant upkeep. You have to go in regularly to categorize transactions, reconcile, etc. Bank connections can be unreliable and fail without warning, I've found. But that's just, it seems like it's more of an issue with the specific bank I was using at the time. Because these issues were more of a several years ago issue. The interface is not designed for simplicity. It's between QuickBooks and something that's entirely automated, but there's still a lot of things where you're what am I even looking at and reading? And it's still, so if you're somebody who wants to get really granular with the numbers, you like the accounting, the bookkeeping, you want to get into the nitty gritty and use all the terminology and this kind of stuff, then it's good for that. It's good for that purpose. It's free. It's a very, very good option for you for sure. But it's not built for someone who doesn't want to deal with that stuff. Again, oftentimes that's going to be business owners. I've said this a few times, but doing 6 figures, multiple 6, 7 figures a year, where that's just so not on their radar. Because it still requires you to understand basic and advanced accounting concepts to use it well. And your year-end tax prep, it still does involve significant manual work, right? So the bottom line here, it's a solid free option, but I found it became a chore. I had an employee eventually do it for me, but there was still a lot of back and forth with my accountant at tax time. And yeah, so if you hate admin work, it's going to feel like a second job. I really did not like bookkeeping when I was using Wave personally. And it seemed like that was the best option at the time, and that was before some of these tools came out. But we'll get into what I'm doing right now in a minute. The fourth option here is QuickBooks. Most people know about QuickBooks at this point. It's the industry standard for a reason, right? It's been around for decades, it's comprehensive, and your accountant almost certainly knows how to use it. And it's super advanced software, right? Super broad reaching, everybody, not everybody, but a large percentage of people use it. And if you need the full suite of accounting features, then QuickBooks has them, right? So it's banks have QuickBooks exports now, right? That's how embedded QuickBooks has become in society. And it's advanced, right? So some of the pros here, again, industry standard, your accountant's familiar with it. It's very feature rich. There's payroll, invoicing, tax prep, reporting, everything's, all in one place. There's a lot going on. It's got a large ecosystem of integrations, so you can connect it to multiple different things. It's good for businesses with complex accounting needs. It's got some strong support and documentation, and AI features are being added regularly. So they are, all of these options and companies are leaning into AI and automating, chunks of the bookkeeping flow. Now, some of the cons of QuickBooks, it's got a steep learning curve. Like, there's a reason their entire YouTube channel is dedicated to teaching QuickBooks. And, one time when I was looking up QuickBooks, I saw there's a 45-minute QuickBooks tutorial, and I was like, this is not for me. Like, I have other things to do, right? It's expensive as well. Plans start around $30 a month. They go up pretty significantly from there. That's honestly, it's not bad. It's just that it's, $30 to $100+ a month. The price point's fine, but the work you have to do for that price point, not a fan. And it's overkill for most small businesses doing just like straightforward revenue and expenses and a few deductions, like nothing too crazy, right? And it's designed really for people who understand accounting, not for business owners who just want simple, clean books, right? It is time consuming to set up and maintain properly. It's something you have to learn, and it can be easy to do things wrong without realizing it. So bottom line, if you have a dedicated bookkeeper or you genuinely enjoy getting into the details, then QuickBooks is obviously excellent, right? Now, for the average small business owner who just wants their books handled, it's more than you need. It's more complicated than it should be, in my opinion. But it's made for that more advanced purpose, so it absolutely serves its purpose, and it's as big as it is for a great reason, right? Now, option number 5, this is where things get interesting, is Onyx. Full transparency, Onyx is a tool that I built. So the reason I built it, though, is because after going through everything on this list, nothing did exactly what I needed or what I wanted. And I built Onyx through some of the AI agent stuff. Yes, I walked down that path pretty far. But this all started because I had a pretty awful relationship with bookkeeping. And no dirt on Wave, but I was way too busy to be keeping up with stuff like that. I really started to genuinely dread tax season. Like, for a while, I would just cram everything at tax season and kind of freak out and work like a weekend to figure everything out, especially when my business was growing much more aggressively. Then, when I started to get employees, I'd have them do more of a manual upkeep thing. That's where I started using Wave, which was a lot better than doing nothing at all. And that definitely helped, especially having an employee do it for me. But there was still, quite a bit of back and forth at tax time. I was still pretty heavily involved with the Wave process, to be honest. And every year I'd either, again, put it off and cram or have someone else do it. And, it felt like every option on this list either required too much of my time or made me just hate taxes or, too much mental energy, or both. And as a business owner, I just wanted the problem gone, because as you grow as a business owner, you start doing hundreds of thousands a year and the millions a year. You just can't think about this stuff. It's really, really hard to. So I built Onyx to solve exactly that. I hated bookkeeping so much, I built a tool to just get it done and dusted. So the way it works is you connect your bank accounts and cards through Plaid Unlimited. It takes 60 seconds. So what it does is it pulls all of your transactions and it continues to do so live updating. And it automatically categorizes about 95% of them using AI. The 5% that it's unsure about, it flags for your review. And then you can just go confirm those and it'll notify you. So usually that's less than 5 transactions a month. It depends on the transaction volume you're doing. You confirm them in about 30 seconds, and that's legitimately it for most months. It also services deduction reminders. So if there are write-offs that you're doing on your personal that are not connected to your business accounts, you might be missing some write-offs and some deductions that can save you money. So based on that, it'll flag those for you so you can bring those to your accountant as well. It'll give you some recommendations on a monthly basis. And it learns every time you confirm a transaction. So it gets smarter over time, it gets better over time, and it asks you fewer questions as the months go on. It just gets in the groove and knows, okay, this transaction is that, this one is that, and there's very little that you have to do. It's extremely, extremely hands-off and simple. Again, because frankly, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered. And at any point, you can download a CPA-ready annual income statement. One click, hand it directly to your accountant. So there's no manual, reconciliation, downloading all of your transactions and putting them in a spreadsheet and none of that. You don't have to, remember what the charge from 8 months ago was for, unless you still decide to wait 8 months and not use this, then yes, you will have to go check, but 95% of the transactions are managed for you anyway. And it gives you gentle little nudges monthly to say, hey, like there are 3 things, just come in and, click for 20 seconds and we're good to go, right? So that you don't have to worry about this. So it's fully automated. It connects once, it runs in the background. Again, 95% of the categorization is handled automatically. Everything's automatically reconciled because it's linked with your bank account, which is one of the pros of the ChatGPT side as well. It learns your transaction patterns over time. It has those deduction reminders built in so you can reduce your tax burden, save money there. There's that one-click annual CPA report, which is already designed to be amazing and loved by accountants. So it has everything that you could possibly need in there. It's also designed, again, specifically for business owners who want minimal involvement. So if you love working on like getting in the nitty-gritty and doing the like nerdy accounting stuff, this actually isn't for you. If you're somebody who just wants to spend 30 seconds to 2 minutes a month, even every other month kind of thing, or every 3 months, and just set it up once and have it be very simple, 100% for you. And it works with virtually all U.S. bank accounts and credit cards via Plaid, which is awesome. So some of the cons: it's a newer product. It's less established than say QuickBooks or Wave. And again, it's not the right tool if you want deep accounting features or like full absolute control over every detail. So if you're, again, a big accounting fan, not for you. Best suited for US-based businesses. It does require a bank connection, and it's not ideal if you prefer manual entries. So if you want to do everything manually by hand, not for you. If you want it to be automated, 100% for you. So bottom line, if you want your bookkeeping handled as automatically as possible so that you can stop thinking about it and send a clean report to your CPA at year end, again, this is what Onyx was built for, and there's a link in the description if you want to check it out. So in conclusion, those are your 5 options, in my opinion, your 5 best options for automating your bookkeeping with AI, again, with my bias being towards Onyx, the tool that I built myself. AI coding agents, if you want full control and don't mind the build time and you want to create all these customized features and you have the time and you want to learn how to do this stuff. ChatGPT Finance, if you want free and flexible and you're disciplined about using it. Wave, if you want free accounting software with some more traditional features, but nothing too crazy. QuickBooks, if you want the industry standard and have the time to learn it properly. And then Onyx, if you just want the whole thing handled so you can pretty much just stop thinking about it altogether. So whatever you choose, the most important thing is having a system and having something that consistently works for you, because the most expensive bookkeeping mistake, it's not like using the wrong software, although that is definitely going to be a part of it. It's avoiding it entirely until April. And you're going to avoid it entirely if you're not doing anything about it. And if you're not doing anything about it, you should use whichever tool or solution is going to ensure that you can actually, stick to it and do something about it consistently.